above your kids and your significant other, etc., if you're not taking care of yourself and you're not happy, I think it's really difficult to show up 100%, or if any of those other things.
How can working parents better navigate not having to sacrifice being involved with their children for work or vice versa?
As a working parent, which myself is, my wife is as well too, she works full time. I think a lot about it is what do you want out of your work life, and if you feel your work is your calling and something that you're into, it's just a part of you, just like being at home is. And I think for a lot of people, I think it's real easy to judge people that enjoy work versus people who like hate work and neglect people because of it. But I think there's a big difference between those two things that, if I think about my wife and our relationship, I was the exact, I traveled for work, I had to go do this, I was gone, and it just that dialogue, that story never changed. And so she knew what she was getting into early on, and I wouldn't be me if I didn't have the opportunity to go do that stuff. And I try to bring them along too. They came to Istanbul, the whole family went to Istanbul for 10 days in January. So I try to mix that stuff in whenever possible. But it's really, I think it's very situational, right? Some people may not be able to do that. They might not be able to afford a nanny, so someone needs to stay home, or they might not be able to dedicate as much as they want to. But I think it's a lifestyle choice. Cool, if you're making $150,000 a year and you're going to all your kids' baseball games and that makes you happy, then that's great. If you don't want to do it, that's fine too. There's no, you shouldn't feel guilty like you're a workaholic or something like that. Unless it's not your real truth of who you are and what you really want to be doing.
What advice do you have for burnt out parents? And what I mean by that is parents who are both burnt out from balancing not work life, because I don't like that, work parent, but parents who are also burnt out because they feel like I know personally I have friends who aren't very maternal and would rather be focusing on work but feel like a bad mom, but feel like they're burnt out from parenting and want to get back into the workplace.
Are they not working now?
Yeah.
They're not working now, but they feel guilty going back?
Yeah.
I think it's really tough to know how self-imposed. That's a story that our grandmothers tell us that, look, you're the mom, you've got to look out for the kids. There is something maternal about the relationship when the kids are early. There's no doubt about it. My wife, is not this Susie Sunshine, oh my God, but when we had kids, she changed. It was very interesting to watch it happen. She totally flipped some switch when our son was born. But she wanted to go back to work too. I think what your truth is, and if you want to go do it, and because Gam doesn't like it, you know what I mean? I think for some people, the tougher part is when you're working full time and you're doing it. I feel like you have to make time for yourself and you have to make time for your significant other, all independently. And believe it or not, there are enough hours in the day. If you plan things out, if you lean on your significant other, I think a lot of people that I see that get burnt out are their parents, are the people that they've got kids and they've got work and there's no life for them in between, and they get burnt out because that's a lot. If you constantly feel like your whole life is becoming, I'm taking care of work, I'm taking care of these people, that's really tough and you're not taking care of yourself. So above your kids and your significant other, etc., if you're not taking care of yourself and you're not happy, I think it's really difficult to show up 100%, or if any of those other things, if you're giving 100% to the kids, then you're probably not doing enough for yourself, probably not doing enough for your significant other, so you've got to create some balancing act. And it's really tough, again, to know what's the right weight for you that's optimal happiness between work, etc. And the easiest thing would be to go back and do contract work, go on Upwork, go on Fiverr, you can start working from home. So there's a lot of opportunities to go back to the workforce without having to go back full time too, and see what that feels like. Get a sitter that's whatever, or get a nanny and see what it's like to work,